Couple of years down the road, you are hanging out.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're doing you're in a good place. Um, like financially at least.
that's cool. What, any particular reason or
A few.
okay, such as?
S- Um, through a like very complicated legal process, you were you come into possession of Mona Lisa's marinara recipe. Like Mona Lisa, the painting,
Yeah, I know.
it's like it was a real person, she really existed. And she had what can only be described as transcendent marinara.
And
And
I've
there was
got
a
the
big, yeah, and there was like this huge legal battle for it behind the scenes that you only found out about after the fact. You're just hanging out one day and they delivered it to you and you're like, what the hell is this? Like they knocked on the door and when you opened it, there was in front of you, it's gonna sound crazy, but there was like a deer standing there,
yeah,
like on
yeah,
almost on like its back two legs, you know what I mean? Like standing up.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, got something here for you to sign.
Fucking deer.
And you're like, what? And you go to like sign your name, but the pen like doesn't have enough ink in it. So like you're just kind of scratching at it and you look up and he just looks so frustrated with you.
It's not my fault that his pen doesn't work. He can't.
He
This is
like
not my fault.
he reaches out and the hooves kind of like pick up the pen. He kind of like shakes it a little bit. And when he puts it to the paper, you see that the ink flows from this pen almost like a beautiful waterfall in heaven.
I have to do something special. Then you need to get a less complicated pen. This is a pen. This is
He's
if
and he,
this is complex of a pen, that's a problem. When you have to have people sign documents all day.
he looks up at you and he goes, "Yeah, I agree. It doesn't seem too complicated to me." You
Well, I
sign.
don't know what to fucking tell you, buddy. I'm in my 40s. I've used a pen for so much of my life. The pen. I probably have one on me.
You do. You recently you bought 1,000 pens
Why
that
would I buy
say
that pens?
it's on all of the
That's a
pen.
burdensome amount of pens.
They're bright red and written on them in white lettering. It just says Aaron's pen number and then like the number. So they're numbered from 1 to 1,000. And you plan on using them in order and you're like that way I'll always know, when this pen isn't working. Which pen should I use next? Oh, right, I have just the next one in sequence and you're able to keep track of your pens that way.
Fucking sucks.
Yeah. You
I
call
would
it
go through so many of those
you,
pens.
you call it the system.
That sucks even worse.
So you sign and he's like, all right, thanks. And he gets on like all fours and like runs back to his like mail truck.
Yeah.
He gets in, and as he drives out of your parking lot, he like sticks his like one of his like legs, you know what I mean? The one that would function as his arm, that is,
Yeah. Yeah.
out the window. And he kind of like moves his hoof in a way that you can tell that he's giving you the finger.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's his hoof.
It's his hoof. He speeds out of the parking lot. And inside, the thing he was delivering, the envelope, uh, it explains that, hello, Aaron. It basically says that, Aaron, I am your second cousin, twice removed, divided by three. And
I don't know what the
I,
fuck that means.
he's like, he goes on to explain that he doesn't get into the details, but apparently everyone he's ever met in his life is dead. They're all dead. And he's like, you're the only person in my family that I haven't met and inadvertently caused the death of, apparently. So, I want you to have this. This is Mona Lisa's marinara. And you're like, holy shit. And like you brought it to you got it like a not a praise, but you got it authenticated.
Yeah,
Yeah, by the Council of Marinara.
and that's Jesus Christ.
Well, you did it just to make sure that it actually was real because, if this is the real deal, then it's, kind of important. It's a big deal, you know what I mean? And so you went to the council and you presented it to them. The head of the Council of Marinara is named he's just known as Leonardo.
Why so dramatic? Leonardo.
Yeah. No, so you have no way of knowing this, but it's Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, it turns out, he was a super genius and he figured out a way to, elongate his lifespan. So he's, had several different identities as he went along. So now, so he's Leonardo da Vinci from the past, and he is the head of the Council of Marinara.
So does he just take on a new physical form after his current one gives out?
So
What how does this work?
he looks like a you wouldn't call him an old man, but you wouldn't call him young. You know what I mean? He has like a
Sure.
like his hair is white, but he has a full head of it, and it goes down to his fucking shoulders.
Okay.
It's the whitest hair that you've ever seen in your fucking life.
All right. Fine.
The first time that you ever jacked off, you did it and you immediately felt some kind of you were like that was awesome, but also like what the hell? Like you were kind of like, freaked out. And so you kind of like, oh, you just decided to go for a walk. So you walked outside uh and you just looked upon the it was really early in the morning before anybody had gone out that day. So you were looking at a town made entirely of snow.
In my
It
front yard.
covers, well, you see it all over the town. It snowed that night. And
Oh,
so
okay.
it's not, the town isn't actually made out of snow, but that's like what it looks like in your, to you, the,
Sure.
all of the, like the school nearby was completely covered in snow. So it looked like a snow building. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They all
Yeah.
did. The clock tower too, especially. And so you kind of looked out onto it and just the pureness of the undisturbed world, which really imprinted on you as you gazed upon the city of snow. Leonardo da Vinci's hair is the exact same shade of white as the first snow you saw after you jacked off for the first time.
That is fucking insane. The first snow that I saw after I jacked off for the first time.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor, kind of. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
It's
get
it's
it's a
like
fucking metaphor.
crossing the Rubicon into adulthood or something.
God damn.
So
But
so
that sucks.
he's the head of the Council of Marinara, and he authenticated it. He was like, look, I didn't know her personally, but I've seen this recipe before, and he's like, this is without a doubt the real marinara recipe of Mona Lisa. And then all the other members of the council at the same time, they all go, oh, like in unison.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, you kind of like laugh a little bit to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cause you're just like, what the fuck? And so, you're in the process of selling it.
How much am I
You know,
asking for it?
well, you got a like so
You
it's
gotta
mostly it's a lot of like museums talking to you. So you got a guy
get
who's sort of like
appraisal.
well, he's like an art dealer. You know what I mean? He's like
Oh,
he'd be your
okay.
agent. You know what I mean? Your liaison. He's got this guy. He has relationships with every major museum in America. And
Yeah.
even some of the smaller ones.
It
He's
seems like this should be going through like an auction house or something,
yeah. You
you
thought
know?
about that, but you went to like watch an auction just to see like what it was like, and the guy like doesn't do the thing where he like talks really fast. You know what I mean? He just kind of talks normally, and you're so disillusioned by it that you just decide to go with the art
Man,
dealer.
I have a very fond memory of my granny working at a snack bar at an auction in Southern Illinois as a child.
Yeah.
It was fucking incredible.
Why?
Nothing listen. I don't know. It's just like an exciting thing for a child. It's like, I mean, my granny's working at a snack bar, so I'm getting like a hostess snack out of this at minimum,
Yeah.
and it's like a very powerful thing. The guy's talking real fast, and people are winning, and they're hooting and hollering, and I got a snack cake in my hand.
Yep. Like, yeah. But so that's the thing is
I like auctions.
this guy, he's not hooting. He's not even hollering.
He's a boring auctioneer.
Yeah, his heart clearly isn't in it. And
Oh, it's like that.
yeah, he's going through a divorce. The
Oh man.
auctioneer, Arnie the auctioneer, they call him.
Is
His
his
name
name
is
Arnie?
yeah, well, his name is Arnold. Arnold,
Okay.
Arnold Gettysburg.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was with his wife. He was with his wife since college, since his literally his first day at uh Christopher Newport University. He met the woman that he married, and they grew together. They're not the same people they were all those many years ago, but they changed with each other, and God damn it, our love is still pure, is what he like says at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like like before the auction starts, he's just like, look, guys, how many of you guys are married? Like a few people kind of like raise their hands, and he's like, hold on to it. He goes, and he tells the story of how he met his wife, um, Jewel, at not the singer, but he met a woman named Jewel, the
Okay.
first day at Christopher Newport University, and it was his first class. It was called how to how to appreciate slam poetry. Sort of, it satisfied one of the like English or requirements. You know what I mean? And so it was taking a scholarly look at slam poetry and talking about not only the meaning of the poems, but sort of about slam culture and etiquette and stuff like that.
So the
And
art form and its impact on society.
yeah,
Okay.
so he sits down, and she got there late after like they watched a the introductory video that that they play. Professor Snuffle.
He's telling us this before the auction starts.
Well, yeah, he's explaining that like yeah, Professor Pete Snuffle was teaching us how to love slam poetry, but he plays a video on the first day of class, and it's like him clearly like 15 years ago. He's got like jet black hair, slicked to the side, and he's talking about slam poetry and about just a very quick introduction to slam poetry and what it means to the the zeitgeist or whatever. And so Jules got there late. He calls her Jules, got there late, and the lights were off. And so she kind of like walked through the auditorium and accidentally, she didn't see him sitting there, like sat in his lap. And he's like, whoa. And she's like, oh my God, so sorry. And he's like, oh, it's fine. She's like, oh, I didn't see you there. And then he's like, that's all right. And then she's like, yeah, well, sorry about that. And she goes to sit somewhere else. And he's like, and he says to you guys, he goes, I knew that day I was going to marry her. So he tells you guys that, and you guys, and you're kind of weirded out by that. And then he's like, all
Yeah,
right,
what
well,
the fuck? Why do I give a shit about this heartbroken auctioneer? Why has he got to bring that into this?
he just does. I'm just telling you what happens. So that kind of weirded you out. So you decided to go with this, with your agent, uh, the art dealer. So, uh, he's kind of in the midst of putting together a deal to sell it to the Lanalax Museum of History. And he's like, Aaron, you are probably going to get at least like 3.5 for this. And you're like,
Three and a
gee,
half
miss,
what?
you go 3.5. You're like,
Three and a half
gee,
million dollars?
you go, gee, mister, like 3,500. And he's like, and he kind of like, he's wearing sunglasses and he kind of like looks down his like nose at you with like the sunglasses down. And he goes, a little higher than that, Aaron.
Just fucking
So
tell me.
3.5 million is what
God
it is,
damn.
He just
This
has
guy.
just a particular way of talking.
He's getting what's his cut out of this?
The standard 15%.
It's 15%.
Yeah. But
Oh boy.
he's very good at what he does. So you kind of have that going on. Um, so what you're doing now, you're not doing this to make a living because you don't need to make a living. You know what I mean? You know that you have this money coming towards you pretty soon, and you have enough to, you have a little bit, you have a bunch of money, not a bunch, but you have enough money saved to kind of just chill until that happens. So, kind of on the side, you get very into extreme chess.
What the fuck is the extreme element of this? I know what chess is. Extreme would indicate unusual conditions or tools or
So what it
rules.
is, so it's like how pro wrestling looks at itself as sports entertainment. So it's kind of like it's chess with a pro wrestling attitude.
This sucks. This fucking sucks.
So it's sort of
Chess.
like, so what it is it's like live entertainment but with chess. And so you guys will sometimes do reenactments of famous chess games that went down over the years.
What happened? Name a
You,
single one of those. Name a
well, I
single
don't know. It's for
chess game where people would go, ah, yes, that chess game. And there would be enough of those people to necessitate this
well,
becoming
yeah.
a thing.
These are for these this it's a niche thing. It's for people who like chess and they also like things with a little bit of drama. So you
This
guys
sucks.
will you guys will do reenactments of famous games. You will do like choreographed chess where it's like games that like you guys all know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? That's the pro wrestling part of it, where you guys do very dramatic games. You do like crazy moves that like people will be like, oh man, nobody would do that in real life because of this, that, the other thing. But like, man, in extreme chess, like, man, these guys make it look crazy. They make it look easy, man. So
This sucks
you
so fucking bad.
you don't think it's kind of cool?
No, not at all.
Do you not like chess?
Chess is fine, but like chess doesn't need to be WWE-ified.
And a year ago, Aaron, you would have thought that. But the
This
first time, everyone remembers the first time they were exposed to extreme chess, and you are no different. You were doing a gig at a bar. It's a bar show in Los Angeles. It's at this place where, so you know how there's like pub crawls from like on or where groups of people go from like bar to
yeah,
bar, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's designed for that. Every single story of this building is like a different type of bar. And so it's like, okay, so the first bar that we're gonna go to is like a dive bar. Hell yeah. Then, after a drink there, it's like, all right, let's go to like level 3 or whatever, which is a really nice bar, like a nice classy bar. But before they get too drunk. The type of place that you would take a woman's father when you ask for his blessing in their marriage. You know what I mean? That kind of
Jesus
place.
Christ.
That's just an example. You don't have to go, but so there's so you are in level 8, which is like a honky tonk bar.
How many levels are in this building? How many stories are we talking here?
There is they claimed it's one of those things where they claim to not have a 13th story. It goes from 12 to 14. So it's a 14-story building. It's a 14-story pub experience.
Classic combination, drunks and stairs or elevators. Like
Well, there's elevators, yeah.
14, but that
And
means people are constantly getting on and off at 14 different stops.
and
It would take
Aaron,
so long.
the things that have happened in these elevators over the years.
The smell of that elevator would be so bad.
Oh no, they have people when they do like they do a round every hour. It's sort of like when the staff has to clean the bath, make sure the bathrooms are okay and stuff like that. They check the bathrooms and then they check the elevators. And man, if these elevators could talk, when some people claim they can, they would
No,
have
they
some
don't.
very interesting tales to tell. So you're on level 8, the honky tonk place. It's called uh Honkin slash Tonkin is the name of the
What a
place.
terrible name.
It's not the best,
No.
but it's just what it's called, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're at Honkin Tonkin, Honkin slash Tonkin, and they're doing comedy night there. And
Tonkin slash Tonkin. Comedy night. All right.
so you perform, and it's just one of those shows where the crowd is rowdy, but they're not necessary. It's one of those few times when the audience does become part of the show. You know what I mean? Where there's an actual connection between the performer and the crowd. So
Yeah.
there's definitely people talking to you during your set, but it's everything works out. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. I love that.
yeah, it goes really, really well. Um, you walk out of that fucking gig, you go down to level 4. It's where you know, you can grab a bite to eat after the gig, It's a
Yeah.
it's like a tapas place. It's like a bar, but it's like they're very into, tapas stuff. And so you're
Yeah.
like, because you get down to level 4 and you think to yourself, it's Tapas Tuesday. As you step off of that fucking elevator, almost in slow motion, You
Tapas
step up,
Tuesday.
yeah, and you get seated to get something to eat, and you look up, and on TV they're showing an episode of Extreme Chess, and you just like fall in love with it. You're just hypnotized by it. You're like, what the fuck is this? And you're like, how can I get involved? Like it's one of those things where
Get
you find out.
involved.
Yeah, it's a thing where it's just like how you got started doing comedy. You watched it, you loved it, and you decided, you know what, I want to be a part of that. And god damn it, you want to be a part of Extreme Chess. Ever since watching that first round on floor number 4. So,
I don't think I'd want to get involved.
you don't think so?
No. Chess, extreme chess.
So it doesn't have, it's not as big a reach as the NFL, but the people who are into it are very into it. It's one of those things. So you're actually able to like travel a little bit, you know?
It's that popular that I can sustain a living doing it.
Well, remember, you have that 3.5 mil coming your way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot the
So
fucking
it's
sauce recipe.
you just you look at it as like you're just trying to break even while you're, figuring out your next stage in life, you know? So you do an extreme chess. And there are some colorful characters, dude. It does attract an audience.
Who's
So
tuning into extreme chess?
chess heads, people who love the game of chess, but they feel that there's just something missing in the way that modern people play chess. Like the history of chess is filled with such interesting, intriguing people that like, but the people who do it nowadays, it's just so boring. Like, let's go back to a time when performance and character was a part of competitive chess, you know?
I don't know. I don't know anything about competitive chess because nobody gives a shit about it. Nobody's talking about competitive chess at the water cooler on Monday.
Well, hey, tell that to the people of San Diego. You did a show there, and you guys actually packed out the venue. It's like a small performance space for teens. You ever have one of those growing up? It's like a teen
Um,
center.
kind of not. It wasn't like a thing where you could just go and hang out.
Yeah, so that's what this is. It's a place for teens to go where like, there's video games, there's a dance floor, there's a, a bunch of like frankly kind of creepy pinball machines. There's all kinds of like, kind of safe activities for teens. And so on the weekend during the day, you guys put on what you guys call an exposition. That's like what you call, that's like what everyone else would call a match, but you guys call it like, an expo.
Yeah.
So you guys you go to you go to put on an expo at a place. It's like the basically like the I mean, I don't know the names of them, but it's like the suburbs of Los Angeles, far
Right.
kind of on like almost on like the outskirts of it.
Okay.
You guys go out and you put on a show for the ages. By the end of it, you guys get to the end of your match. You're going up against this guy whose character name is the Dirty Man,
Oh
and
man.
he is good. He's been doing this for a minute, and so
Yeah.
you guys are like flying all over those fucking chessboards. You guys have a thing set up where it's like, how there's multiple chess games going on at the same time. So
Yeah.
like one person versus like 17 people. You guys just have 17 different games going. And it is getting intense. And the crowd is going crazy. Sweat starts to like just a single bead of sweat goes down the bridge of your fucking nose.
It's never just one, you know. One is the start of what's coming.
You do a move where like you move your knight and the sweat like blink like comes off of your that single bead of sweat comes off of your nose and you do this thing where you just like catch it in midair, you know, like almost like someone catching a fly, you know what I mean?
Just catching a falling bead of sweat.
That's how
As if
fast you move.
oh, okay. So it's a show of speed.
Yeah, and like and the dirty man gives like kind of like gives you a look of approval. Like that wasn't a planned spot. It just happened naturally and you went with it, you know? And so you guys put on quite a show. Uh you go back to the hotel and yeah, you go to sleep. You dream of a howling void. You wake up
Great.
and they've left you behind. You
What?
guys were on like you were like on like a tour bus, you know what I mean? With them.
Yeah.
And I guess there was some kind of miscommunication. You didn't set your alarm or something happened. And you just kind of got left behind.
Nobody bothered saying, "Hey, hang on. This guy that we're on the road with isn't here."
So eventually they realize what happened and they're like, "Doe." And they're like, "Don't worry, Aaron. We're turning around for you." So you have like a few hours to kill before they come get you. So you're feeling kind of annoyed, you know. Um you go down the you walk into the lobby and you got back in there kind of late. So you're staying in a hotel like kind of like a town away. And you got back a little late and so you didn't really look around or anything, but you're sort of like, oh, you're wondering, oh, like where should I get something to eat? And the person who's behind the counter working there is clearly like an 8-year-old kid.
What do you mean?
He's an 8-year-old kid wearing like, you know, what he imagines is probably like what a hotel manager would wear, you know, black shirt, red tie, but the tie is it's tied very poorly.
So this kid is wearing his own interpretation of what a manager would wear. He's
Yeah,
not like being directed by somebody like his mom and dad.
nope, there's no one there. It's just him. And you kind of pass by him and like you kind of like look at him. Like, would you say anything?
No, no. I would assume it was somebody who had a thing that made them small, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to gawk.
Yeah. So you don't gawk, but you do say as you pass by, you kind of like stop for a second and you go like, hey, like anywhere good to get a bite to eat in town? And he responds, he's clearly a kid. He's like, yeah, go down to Bob's Diner. He goes, it's right next door.
Okay.
He's
Then
like,
I guess I would go to Bob's if I'm like feeling that hungry.
and you are. But as
Okay.
you walk out, you hear him kind of like say behind you, like, but don't talk to any strangers, okay? Town here don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not planning on fucking talking to people. It's late at night. I'm going into this diner. Probably got headphones in.
Oh, this is during the
I was
day. This
I
is
was
this
doing
is like
okay.
the morning, you know what I mean?
I mean, either fucking way. I'm not I don't want to engage with anybody.
So you're like, all right, thank you, and like, you know, you keep walking. And you turn right, and yeah, Bob's Diner is like right there. It says the word Bob, like capital B, lowercase o, lowercase b. And the entrance is the hole in the lowercase b, and the exit is the hole in the lowercase o.
Oh, so like the front of the building spells out Bob and you
Is
enter
it?
and
Yeah,
exit through the actual okay.
yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous.
So you go in there and it's like an old school type of diner, and you sit at the counter, and there's somebody working there behind the counter there, and they are like, if you had to guess, it's like an 11-year-old boy, and he's wearing like an old school short order cook outfit, you know what I mean? With like the paper hat, and he's like, "What can I get you, sir?" Who would you say?
I would assume this is another in a line of small family businesses where they probably get around shit like that. I don't know. I would look
Um,
at the menu and I would order.
a
I don't know what
waitress
they have.
walks behind you, and she's wearing like an old school, pink waitress outfit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And she is like all of like six. What would you
I would
order?
probably I would probably feel uncomfortable, and I would pull the move. Oh, I'm waiting for somebody, but I'll look at the menu until they arrive, and then I would fake a phone call and go, "Oh no," and then I would just go, "I'm sorry, I have to leave," and I would leave. I just
And they're
get out of
like,
there.
yeah, and they're like, all right, goodbye.
Yeah, I've had to pull that move before. It's not fun.
Sure. You go out through the lowercase O in Bob, and you walk back to the hotel, and like there's like clearly like an 8-year-old boy walking past you. He's wearing like a way too large for him like suit. He kind of
Yeah.
like grins at you as he walks past. He has like a hat on,
What's with all these children?
Like what would you ask him, or like what would you do? There's just a bunch of like kids around, and they're all dressed like adults.
I'm not talking to anybody. I'm freaked out by it.
Yeah.
I'm going back and I'm waiting on my guys to come get me. I'm not talking to anybody. I'll find something in a fucking vending machine to tide me over or something, but
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with any of these people, these children,
Yeah.
these kids.
So you walk back to the hotel, and there's like a gang of like kids waiting for you in front of it.
Waiting for me.
Yeah. You can just tell.
What
One
the
of them
fuck?
one of them steps forward. He's a kid, but he is like super dramatic looking. He's got like a black sweater on,
Yeah.
black pants.
What the fuck is happening?
He's like totally goth, you know what I mean?
This sucks. I'm gonna try to get to my room. I'm gonna get my shit and
Yeah.
just gonna wait on my people to come pick me up.
You walk in, and they just like look at you as you pass. They don't actually say anything. Excuse me.
I'm just
You
gonna wait in my room.
Yeah. You walk back to your room, you get your shit. You go back outside.
I think I would just wait until I got word that they were there.
So that was your plan, but it's almost like you felt compelled to walk outside. You
I
know
don't
what
want
I
to be
mean?
out there with those kids, Pat.
But like, and
I
you
want.
tell that to your body, but it is moving on out.
I'm not gonna
You
sit
walk out.
outside for hours.
The goth kid is like, his eyes have turned jet black,
Great.
and he's clearly like he's kind of like levitating a little bit as he's like
What the
forcing
fuck?
you mentally to walk out.
So I'm under his control.
Yeah, that's why you're walking out.
What the
And then
fuck, Pat? This goth child.
yeah, and he goes, "An outsider, you know what to do." And then the kids all take out like, knives or whatever, and
What
they,
the fuck?
and they all stab you to death.
Knives?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! They stabbed me to death out in front of the hotel.
Yeah. It's just an entire town of kids, and they just like stab you like so many times. You die, and the
What the fuck?
your tour bus comes back, and by that point they had like, they've gotten very good at like cleaning up, murder. So they come back and they just can't find you anywhere. And after 15 minutes, they just leave without you
Oh
again.
my God, 15 minutes?
Yeah, you're buried
Fuck
in
that.
the cemetery behind Bob's
This
in an
fucking
unmarked
sucks.
in an unmarked grave.
Great. Why would they bother marking it? Who fucking cares? That sucks. A goth child. It's not funny.
Oh, you never got the money.
Yeah.